Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am live. I'm David Starlyte, and we have a new day in Australia. It's Wednesday morning here, and coming to you live from Port Douglas, Queensland. During this broadcast, you can support my page by sending stars, a digital gift that helps me to earn money. So, new and old people, please do like and share if you gain anything from the show. We tend to explore different concepts, sometimes spiritual concepts, consciousness, and pretty much anything. Intuitive readings and new earth readings, new earth consciousness, raising the vibration of the collective, raising our own vibration, and discussing personal growth and change, how to do it, what's going on, supporting people through their lifetime journey. So if you do value the content, please do like and share. We're going to start from the reading from the Buddhism Oracle deck, which is Wisdom for Love, Peace, and Happiness. So just shuffling the deck, and the first card that pops up is the wisdom card. Didn't I just mention wisdom? Well, the Buddhist guides are bringing us wisdom right here. And the Buddha quote, "Know well what leads you forward and what holds you back, and choose the path that leads to wisdom." As the Buddha taught, wisdom is the actual means by which we can purify ourselves. Just knowing this brings calmness and then faith, and eventually it brings truth to the light. So that's our Buddhism Oracle message of the day, which is a beautiful message for everyone. The next card will be from the Starseed deck. And this is Rebecca Campbell and Daniela Knoll. So beautiful Starseed Oracle. It looks like that. Let me just bring that a little bit closer. So you have this beautiful blue pyramid, lots of light. It is all about raising the vibration, raising the consciousness of the collective humanity. It's a wonderful deck. So we are bringing in the star guides, bringing them in. And what do we have here? Correct open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. So I feel like that's almost like a message for the collective, that we are being cracked open, that things are kind of have to go to rock bottom before we can ascend. And ascending is the spiritual opportunity, the spiritual possibility, the spiritual offer for all of us, which essentially means to spiritually grow. Now, everyone has that opportunity and that possibility. We do have different trajectories just because of karma, because of our life conditions and circumstances. So everyone is a little bit unique, and some are a little bit more unique than others, but you know what I mean. We do have the conditions in place, some of us more than others. And the Buddha himself was born a prince. So imagine that, born a prince, and you become one of the great spiritual teachers for humanity. So whether you're born in humble circumstances like Jesus, who's known as the Christ, he was born, I think, in a barn. If correct me if I'm wrong, he was born in a barn under the stars. Marianne says, good morning, Queensland. Good morning from Australia. And great to see you on the show, Marianne. And Tracy, welcome, Tracy. Tracy's in the Gold Coast, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome and great to see you, Tracy. So what a blessing to have two beautiful people. Thank you for commenting, because then I know something's going on somewhere there. So I was talking about the conditions and how everyone has unique conditions, not necessarily being born in the ideal conditions, because in a way, nobody is born in the ideal conditions. Everyone has either too much, too little, maybe in between. Everything there's a sense of uniqueness. But on one side there was the Buddha who was born a prince, and on the other side there was Jesus who was born to very humble beginnings. I think he was born in a barn and maybe born under the stars. With anyone who knows the history or knows the New Testament, feel free to share in the comments. So this, coming back to this card, which is about hitting rock bottom, being cracked open, surrender to the alchemy of life. Don't let the weight and density of the world squash your tender spirit, which I can relate to. I got an email this morning, which I found disappointing, definitely disappointing. And I don't think it squashed my tender spirit, but I felt like, what's going on? I've been paying someone to design my website, and suddenly they want more money, and it's like, but that's not what we agreed upon. Carla says, hello, Debbie. Hello, David. How are you? Shared. Welcome to the show, Carlos. I'm doing great. Slightly cracked open just by, I guess, expectations. And I felt like I was making progress on the website. And now it's like more money, this, more money, that. And I'm like, Marianne says a manger. What is a manger? His parents were unable to secure housing for the Roman census. What is a manger, though? I don't know what a manger is. I probably heard that, and I still don't know what a manger was. So we hear these things that we're like, we don't know what they are. So we're talking about the card, which is cracked open. It's about breaking through breaking down. So break down to break through, about calling our soul our home instead of our physical body, knowing that whatever's happening in the physical conditions of this earth, of our lives, there's something beyond that. It's spirit, it's soul, it's, people call it divine, God, Lord. There's many names for spirit, and it's saying there's something beyond this earthly plane. Whatever we experience, there's something beyond. And at the center of your life, it's through the extreme pressure of life's trials that diamonds are cultivated. Beautiful words. Marianne has answered, a feeding trough for animals in the stables. I was picturing hay, and so I was close. Feeding trough for animals in the stables. There we go. Thank you so much, Marianne. So that's a beautiful image. So the point being, you could be born in different conditions, but there are still opportunities. And we have two almost opposite extremes of how people ended up with their destiny, with how they created their life in the world. It can be when things are at their darkest that we cultivate proper faith and our light is ignited. Tony Robbins was talking about starving, being hungry, and how that created an appetite for change. His appetite was not about himself alone. It was about, how can I feed other people? And apparently he's been feeding a billion people through his foundation. So he's had an incredible influence on the world. And it's amazing how many people criticize Tony Robbins. And whatever you think about the man, he's fed so many people. How many people have you fed? I'm in incredible awe of Tony Robbins, and he's turned it around. He said, well, I'm hungry. I'm going to use that as power, as leverage, as motivation, as drive to stop other people from suffering. It's when things are darkest that we cultivate faith and our light is ignited. So his light was ignited from suffering. So how is your suffering? How could your suffering be ignited to help others, to serve others? It is through the crumbling that we can allow our wounds to be alchemized. We can allow our wounds to be alchemized. So encouragement here is to let your pain, sorrow, and losses make you and not break you. Let life alchemize tragedies into gold. So everything that's happening is an opening, it is a possibility, is an opportunity. I'm trying to figure out this with my own life. With I was talking about the website, and it's a first world problem. It's nothing so serious. It's just interesting that I went along this pathway. Be open to being cracked open. So what you manifest is a message. It's showing you something. Be open to that shift. It's a difficult time to help us grow in leaps and bounds. First, a help to crack us open. Whether you let it happen or not, it's going to happen. So surrender to the process. It's how the light gets in. When your heart cracks open, a space is created for your soul to more fully enter. When your soul cracks open, a space is created for the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter. The encouragement is to let your trials, your sorrows, your pains, your losses transform you into more and higher version of yourself, like I was talking about. Tony Robbins being hungry and using that to drive him forward to feed other people. What a message, what a messenger, they say your life is your message. What a contribution to be feeding people. Stay open to the possibility that your tragedies, your losses, your sorrows, and your heart happened for you, not to you. Bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open because the world needs you open. Surrender to the alchemy of life. So, what a beautiful message for the collective. Keep going, learn from the obstacles, learn from the hurdles. Don't let them break you, let them feed you, let them become your message for humanity. So, everyone online, how are you? Let me know in the comments how everything's going, if you've had any setbacks or obstacles, how you've managed that, if Tony Robbins has inspired you or not. Perhaps there's someone else who's inspired you. There's people who haven't been inspiring me recently, and maybe I won't go there. People on, for instance, the Epstein files that's been coming out in the media, and it seems like there's almost an insatiable appetite to find out what was going on there, which seems to be a lot of darkness. And whenever darkness is exposed, it is a little bit traumatic or upsetting, especially when people may put someone on a pedestal and they fall down to the ashes. It can be confronting. It seems like there's a lot of public figures who were in the files, and whatever you thought of them, they were always a human being, but it's disappointing when we see this kind of horrible behavior from anyone. It's always going to be disturbing. So just a word out, sometimes the higher they rise, the harder they fall. Authenticity is about being real with all human beings. Nobody is above or below anyone else. And some people go on a certain pathway that really helps humanity. They really grow in the process. The question is, are you growing? And some people, I think, they perch themselves as higher than other people, and then it showed in the files that they were, if anything, lower than their fellow people. Because if anything, lower. I'm just gonna open the door for a little dog. 1 second. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Hello. Welcome, little doggies. We missed you. So apologies for that. We just bringing in the animal spirits to guide us and help us and be there for us. Marianne says, plenty over the past decade. Seems that patience opens some family truths. My aunt, as my grandmother, would say, spit up to God to get her way. Spit up to God to get her way. I don't really understand that saying, Marianne. Maybe you could explain it. Yeah, it's. And how do you feel about it, Marianne? Do you feel like, can we still, can we still encourage each other? Because everyone is, we're all here to learn. I think it's just that we may have put people on pedestals, and maybe no one deserves to be on a pedestal. We all are in this human condition, and kindness and compassion to ourselves and to others is required, is necessary. Love is necessary. I think when people start thinking they're above other people, they start to do things, do bad things. I would say. So Marianne says it's Italian. It's about being disrespectful. So that's really interesting. And of course, in a lot of the religious circles, there have been these massive falls from grace. There's been people who've been publicly humiliated or shown to be pedophiles or whatever it is. I've known one individual who I had as a client, and we got quite friendly, and he was involved with some kind of abuse or abuse of power for sure. He was in quite a high position, and people did put him on a pedestal. So I remember that, and for me, I knew him quite well I spent time with him therapeutically, and I could see there was something a little bit missing. It was a little bit kind of psychopathic, and perhaps a lot of these leaders, a lot of the people in the Epstein files are perhaps that's what it is, something psychopathic. It's, I guess, the belief that you're entitled, and it's a lack of compassion for other people. So how can you do something bad to a child, for instance? It's something kind of wrong with you, but it's the entitlement, and that's what's psychopathic, the lack of compassion for other people. So let me know in the comments if you've been disappointed, and if you've how you've processed that, how you've managed it, how have you seen the world differently after that, and how's it affected your self view, your internal worldview. For me, I could see issues. Looking back, I could always see there was an issue. And it's also important to see the humanity that person as my client, they were a person just like anyone else. And they were definitely had some very bad qualities. But I actually feel we also need to keep some compassion for the perpetrators, but more compassion for the victims. But we're in this kind of web. We're in this web, the cycle that I think we all are a victim of something or someone, and we all, perhaps it's impossible not to be some kind of perpetrator at some point in our lives. When you think, I think just relationally, and I think, I think relationally, is there someone, I remember I had a close friend, and at a certain point I felt uncomfortable. There was something too much, and I'd kind of disconnected and moved away from him. And I know he was deeply hurt and deeply wounded, and I tried to just say, well, I'm very busy and don't take it personally, and I try to sort of disengage, but I could feel his pain, and I could also feel that I need to honor my own intuition and my own feeling of not being comfortable being around his energy. And just because we lived together for a while, so it was just, sometimes it's just enough, for me. Like, okay, we spent all that time together, and it's like I need something a little bit different. So that's where I've perhaps caused harm. I've caused harm. I've made someone suffer. whether intentionally or unintentionally, knowingly or unknowingly. So it's hard not to have relationally hurt someone. Even if someone's in love with you and you don't really feel comfortable with that, or the feeling's not mutual, you just want to be friends or whatever it is, it's they can go through some suffering over that. Tracy says sometimes you have to make the tough decisions, and we do need some tough love. We do need boundaries. We do need to rein in our energy, clear our energy field. Make sure we're not attached to too many foreign energies, and to have an process of energy hygiene. So for me, I love living on tropics because I'm showering constantly, and I'm thinking, oh, like, would have had 4 showers yesterday, at least, maybe 5 even, at least 4 showers. So there's this constant cleansing myself, which I need to do, which I believe is really helpful and important. Energy hygiene, to clear your energy. So is there anyone in the files that you heard about that's really shocked you or disappointed you? And how do you process that disappointment? Do you feel any compassion for the perpetrator, or is it just all compassion for the victim? Tracy, as you say, you have to make the tough decisions. We do need to make some tough decisions sometimes, decisions about how we move forward in life. And sometimes it is, there is sometimes a finite reality. We can't always have everything we want. And Tracy says, my ex is still a struggle. And that's so common, Tracy. It's so common because of all the energy entanglement, the energy attachments. It's something I've experienced as well. A very deep kind of resonance, and to detach from that, it takes time and work. It doesn't happen easy. Sometimes we have to be disciplined with our approach. We have to say, for instance, have a 1-year break from all contact or something like that. But people, when we spend a lot of time with people, they become part of us. And when we spend time intimately, I know there is a lot of theory about this. When there's a sexual connection, there's a very strong energetic bond, and that sort of can be at a soul level. The chakras can intertwine. So Tracy, you're not alone, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for feeling, for sharing your something personal and true to you. It's been 7 years. I can definitely relate, Tracy, and sending love to you. What's worked best for you? What hasn't worked for you? And how would you describe your experience, Tracy? It's something a lot of people have experienced, so you're not alone. And definitely there is this sort of alchemy that happens. I believe in a couple relationship, there's a type of energetic alchemy. It's not always alignment, but you have to reach an alignment to be with someone else. There has to be an energetic match. Has to be an alignment, otherwise you'll just separate. So there is a resonance, whether you like them or not. There is a resonance, and when you sleeping with someone or having that close proximity, your chakras are aligning. They're energetically interpenetrating, interconnecting. So there's a strong sense of interbeing, a sense of connection with another person, where it's and you think of trees and how trees are connected and interconnected. Trees in the forest, they're weaving a web, they're weaving, connecting. So human beings are relational creatures. We need other people. We are dependent on other people. We have a strong need to be with other people. which isn't a weakness. A lot of people promote ideas of independence, and that is can be quite strict and harsh for the human soul. I just need to look at the dog. He wants to go out. Go out. He wants to go. Yeah. All right. So back without the dogs, they both moved on. Energy hygiene. It was getting too intense for them. The energy. Yeah. Marianne says, I can see my aunt as the victim in her situation. She allows her husband to control her in a dysfunctional way, domestic violence way. Also feel this way to my cousin's wife. The son also has DV tendencies. They have to decide to split up. So I think you're referring to domestic violence. I've heard this DV, which is very common. It's a very common situation, unfortunately, and it's not actually one sex or gender specifically. It's quite, and I think that's often people miss. Well, it's a different situation because men tend to be stronger than women, so there's a power differential. So the damage that men can do to women is much worse usually than the other way around. But as far as my reading goes, women are more violent actually, but when men are violent, it creates more damage. Domestic violence can also be emotional or psychological. This is very true, Marianne, very common. So quite a deep topic here, and I am also a victim of DV. How I grew up, I think a lot of people had experienced childhood abuse, so they would understand DV. But it's also the psychological and emotional abuse. I think I've talked before, I did have a relationship with someone who was violent. So I have quite a personal experience of this, and it is it's a bit of a painful topic for me and for many others who've experienced domestic violence, but not just the physical nature of it, but the emotional and psychological nature. So often those things will go together. So I'm just going to read this again. I can see my aunt as the victim in her situation. She allows her husband to control her in a domestic violence way. I also feel this way to my they have to decide to split up. Okay, so this is quite tricky territory, because one has to be see the complexity in the relationship, and sometimes that person has made the sole choice to be that way, to be in that relationship. Whether it's good for them to leave that or not, usually, the ultimate goal, or the optimal situation or optimal result is for them to build their life away from a violent person, an abusive person. But when you say I can't see her as a victim, I don't agree. I believe that we are victims even if we feel stuck. Even if she's stuck, she's powerless. She feels powerless. She may not be powerless, but she feels powerless, which makes her that way. So because she's controlled, she's almost more of a victim, because she doesn't feel she can leave that person. So I believe when we talk about victim and victimhood, we are always victims of violence, but whether we are able to leave or not, you cannot really say. Somebody, if they don't feel able to leave, they feel stuck, they cannot see the, what is it, the something from the trees. So this is going it's an uncomfortable situation, Marianne, for everyone, particularly people who are close to your aunt, because you can see that she is suffering, and that's a very abusive situation. So definitely be compassionate. Always be compassionate. Don't ever lose your compassion. Know that because people feel powerless, it doesn't mean that that's not room to judge them in a way. So be kind. But I do understand that judgment. It's like, that person should do this, that person should do that. Tracy would love a message. Sure. Sylvie, welcome to the show. We're discussing, it's quite an emotional show. We've been discussing a lot of stuff: emotional entanglements, relationships, ex-relationships, how to break free of that entanglement. It's almost like so entangled, attached, stuck, clearing stuck energy hygiene, being really disciplined, being really strong, taking back one's power. So there's a lot involved in this conversation. And Tracy, we are going to bring through a message. But first, Marianne says she's a thief and he acts like an Italian crime boss. We live by the code of Sicily, mobbed or non-mobbed family. So, we do get sort of cultural angles. So there's always a little bit of a cultural nuance, a cultural angle. So certain cultures do have a way of behaving which can be quite oppressive and patriarchal. So the traditional Italian mafia code, that's extremely patriarchal, almost, there was this fascist history. So we've seen the movies. What was the big one? They made, I think, 4 or 5 of them, these big Italian mafia films. But the point is, when you say she's a thief and he acts like an Italian crime boss, people are not perfect, whether they're victims or perpetrators. There's often a little bit of both going on in everyone, So we don't need to see the world as black and white. It's often it's shades of gray, but there is a need for ethics and to differentiate between right and wrong, of course, and to have ethical codes and to align oneself towards progression, growth, personal growth, self-growth, empowerment, but also shifting one's soul forward. That's where we are headed as individuals and as a collective. The Godfather, yes, exactly. That was what was right there on the tip of my tongue, Marianne. So thank you so much. She stole a house from her sister. So what we're saying here is not a pure victim and perpetrator and complexity. And perhaps that's the nature of a lot of the world. I don't think most people are as extreme as stealing, but we all have our own pitfalls. We all have aspects to us that are imperfect. So find me the perfect person I don't know any perfect person. So Marianne is there. Tracy, we're bringing through a message. Maybe let's see what's coming up for you from the Starseed Oracle. And let's come forward for Tracy. Okay. And from the Energy Oracle, we're going to shuffle the deck and pick a card. This is a very interesting card, Tracy. We're going to explore that a little bit further. The soul plan versus fate versus destiny, essentially. Fate versus destiny. So just a note on shifting into your physical body, becoming more physically embodied. That's really important. Encouraging you to enjoy the central nature of life. So almost like having regular massages, having facials, having having nice food. It's reminding you to enjoy the sensuality of life, the sensations, the expression, creativity. Let your let the creative juices flow. So that card is almost like intimacy and creativity, encouraging that flow. There is someone who is in the angelic realm watching over you. So she's very feminine, very rose colored. Here is a beautiful heart. She's very much like rose quartz, very much a rose quartz spirit. I would call her like an angel, and she is bringing you love and tenderness. She's around you with this. So there is this beautiful feminine, this divine feminine, and she's encouraging you to share with other people, share tenderness, share compassion, share love. There's an opportunity to connect with people, almost like there's a romantic flavor here, which it doesn't have to be romantic. It can just be sharing with friends. But I do feel the opportunity to make this almost like a romantic ritual. Whether there's someone involved or not, make it a romantic ritual for you, because I feel that there's a treasure there for you to find within yourself. The other card is very interesting. Your fate versus your destiny. That's really quite a unique pathway. So coming back to remembering, you always have free will, Tracy. You always have free will. I mean, I would say we don't always have absolute free will. It's not an absolute. It's a little bit, can be a little bit murky on either side, because there's causes and conditions. There's conditions. I was talking about Jesus, and I was talking about the Buddha. I was just reading your comments. So I was distracted. So the soul plan versus the destiny. So we live in a world there is free will, and moments like these come along through destiny only through saying yes. So it's saying, almost encouraging you to say yes. The fated life is the one we were born into. The destiny life is the one our soul chooses. So this is encouraging you to step forward, and it takes faith and courage. So you've added a lot of layers of complexity with that comment, Tracy, and it's likely you're going to come face to face with a choice to follow your destiny over your fate. So choose your destiny over your fate. Trust the path your soul is calling you toward, and to remember that this moment was prearranged on your life's timeline. So feels a little bit like this issue is a crossroads for you, and you're being called to make a decision, to keep walking the path you have been walking before, to choose the one less traveled, and choose a new way, to invite your soul's higher plan, its greater plan, its wisdom, and surrender to it. So there's a sense of being confronted with something undefined, and a sense of an invitation to choose a new way, Tracy. So that's the message for you, Tracy, and sending lots of love to you. All right. Just going to create that. And Betsy, how wonderful to see you, Betsy. Welcome to the show. I haven't seen you for a while. Happy New Year. How is 2026 going? How are you traveling? How is it all going? And how are you keeping warm? Is everything going well with you? Tracy says, thank you so much. And thank you to Tracy. And we all face love and loss and tribulations along this winding path. I spent some time. I met a friend a few years ago, and we stayed in touch. And she passed away about a week ago. So I'm sending thoughts to her. And the doctors didn't give her long to live, so it was really something where, about a year, it was probably about a year ago when she said to me, the doctors said I have a few months. And the doctors were actually correct. It was probably about a year. They were correct that her life was to be cut short. So sending love to her. She was a lovely muse and someone that shared with me. I shared with her, and we it was 7 years of friendship, and she is now in the spirit world watching over us. Her name, it's hard to say her name was. Let me say, her name is Ellen, because souls do not die, so they're still with us. I would love a message too. I haven't been able to catch us for a while, Betsy from New York. So it's really great to have someone I haven't seen in a while, and great to have you back, Betsy. And I'm just going to shuffle the Buddhist Oracle deck for Betsy. And there's Betsy. Okay. All right. So this card is encouraging you to purify your mind, purify your thoughts, to remember what we put out there into the world. The intentions really power our reality. Our thoughts power our reality. Remember to clarify what's on your mind, to purify what's on your mind. I feel like finding the right leverage, the right drive is gonna help push you forward. Like, what is the core of what you really want? What is driving it? Definitely, this card is indicating the need for self-care. So, Betsy, the need for things like what food you're eating, body care, tenderness, and rest. I feel like that's a lot of people, just coming back to almost the simple things, the basic things, and realigning ourselves with what is essential for our bodies, for the health of our bodies, that our whole life experience. Come back to looking after yourself, taking care of yourself, watering your own garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest. So that is really about nurturing. It's about showing up for yourself and, respecting the body that you're given as a soul. Your body is a gift from your soul, which is, take me, use me, don't abuse me, look after me, care for me, be gentle to me, and respect me. Take responsibility. Like, you have an animal as well, you have a dog. If it's your dog, you're there to take care of its well-being, to put health first, to manage and care for that being. So you have been you've been asked to put on the brakes a little bit. Rest, restore, and rejuvenate. Rest, restore, and rejuvenate. Remember that your body is precious. It's a gift to you, Betsy. It's a gift to you. So take care of it, nurture it, be kind. All right, I'm going to look at this energy oracle deck and see what is arising. Okay. All right, so this card is saying just remember to take one gentle step at a time. One gentle step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Slow down, come back to your core essence, what's really driving you, what's really important to you, and shift yourself forward with mindfulness, with grace, with presence. So take deep breaths and find the joyful moments in everything. Find the joy, the pleasure in everything, Betsy, and purify your environment. Definitely important to have patience as well. Nourishment is definitely the word that keeps coming into mind. So it's more a holistic way forward. That's about the business I'm trying to create. So would love to hear more about that. That's very exciting, really great to hear. So definitely, patience is important, and there are always one step back, one step forward. Sometimes sideways movement. There's winter, spring, summer, autumn. There's different seasons. So it's telling me just to take a breath, align yourself, all parts of you align in the direction that you are pursuing. Find that alignment, and then things will flow effortlessly. So it's almost encouraging a type of flexibility, a type of flow, more of an organic flow. Be receptive to the signs around you, how things are aligning, and see yourself as a little bit of a magician that can align, or a dancer, or bring that energy into this. Too much striving to burn the candle at both ends so I can leave my day job. Yeah, I totally understand, Betsy. I get that. Keep going, one step at a time, and sending you lots and lots of love all the way from Australia. Great to see you back on the show. And thank you again to everyone who's come online, who's shared the show, who has contributed. We've had some interesting conversations. I've really enjoyed being with you today. And I'm wishing everyone much beauty, much grace, much blessing. And remember that we all are imperfect beings. Nobody should be on a pedestal. Nobody is above or below anyone else. And we're here to work together, collaborate to build each other up. Betsy says $4.99. And Stuart says another great show. Thank you so much for Stu and for Stu. And love to see you on the show, Stu. So thank you so much for your support. And I'm sending everyone lots and lots and lots and lots of love and blessings to you all. Wishing you well, knowing that we all are in this together. As I said, we're here to build each other, not to break down each other, to build each other up, to support each other, and to know that soul is truth and the soul knows. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I will see you next week, and lots of love.